front tonight, Gordon Chang, the author of Nuclear Showdown, North Korea Takes on the World, will be joined by retired Colonel Cedric Leighton in just a moment. But Gordon, let me start with you. This reporting that came out today saying that the United States says North Korea can put nuclear material into a missile. Obviously tonight, administration official to CNN trying to say that they don't believe the weapons have been tested and they haven't been fully developed. But how significant is this possible development?
We knew all along that they would be able to do this at some point. I mean, if it's not now, it will be a year from now. And so, when we look at this, this is a predictable development. Of course, it's significant because marrying a nuclear device to a long-range missile means that they can reach out and cause great devastation. And even worse, they can threaten to do this. And that's why I think that this year's crisis is worse than before. Yeah, there's a lot of internal reasons peculiar to the regime, but also because they now have more capability. So they now feel they can threaten more. Next year, the crisis is going to be even worse than this year's.
And let me bring in retired Colonel Cedric Leighton now. And Colonel Leighton, what does this force the United States' hand? The National Security Advisor Tom Donilon said just a few weeks ago, to quote him, the United States will not accept North Korea as a nuclear state, nor will we stand by while it seeks to develop a nuclear-armed missile that can target the United States. So does this possible development that we are learning about tonight mean that North Korea has crossed what many would call a red line and that the United States has to act?
It's possible that they have crossed a certain red line, but I think the United States is going to wait for there to be some actual test firings or some actual actions that in terms of actually deploying these weapons. Once that happens, then they will have crossed that red line. But until that happens, I think the administration is going to stand back.
Bob Baer, Colonel, earlier this week told me the United States really doesn't have good intelligence in North Korea. He said he's been talking to a lot of CIA officials who have been there on the ground. Pentagon spokesman George Little has disputed that when he came on this program. But the fact is, we've said they can't get a weapon, and now it seems that they may be further along in that process than we actually thought. Is the intelligence that the United States has good enough?
No, it's never good enough, Erin, and the problem that we have is we have a lack of sources in the human community, which is known as human intelligence, in other words, spying. Our technical intelligence is actually pretty good, but you cannot gauge a person's thought process, their intentions, and the other artful forms of intelligence just through technical means alone. And that's what our significant weakness is. It's judging the intentions, and our ability to actually analyze those intentions is not 100%.
Right. And Gordon, it's difficult because the Obama administration has seemed to have, by the way, a very consistent response to the threats coming out of North Korea. But here's what it is. Here's President Obama just today and some of his team recently. I want to play it so everyone understands what I mean about consistency.
Now's the time for North Korea to end the kind of belligerent approach.
Bellicose rhetoric.
Bellicose rhetoric.
Bellicose rhetoric.
There's bellicose rhetoric. Belligerent rhetoric.
Bellicose rhetoric.
Bellicose, unhelpful, and unconstructive rhetoric and actions.
Now, aside from bellicose and belligerent getting the most use in the English language that they've probably gotten in a long time, I don't want to make light of this, but Gordon, is this really the only response that the U.S. has to call it bellicose and belligerent and hope that it stops?
Yeah, I think the Obama administration is really caught flat-footed because they don't know what to do. They talk about trying to go to Beijing and getting the Chinese to help, but Xi Jinping on Sunday came out with those really terrible words. And everyone said that he was rebuking North Korea, but what he was really doing was a stinging attack on the United States, as People's Daily made clear on Tuesday. So, the Chinese aren't going to help us, and I don't think the people in Washington have a clue as to what to do, because this is not the way they thought the world was going to work. And so right now, I think that they're trying to figure out how they're going to craft a strategy. And they've got to think of one pretty quickly because our allies in the region are becoming unnerved by this. Right. And, the South Koreans, they're going to want their own bomb.
All right, well, thank you both very much. And again, as we're reporting here, the very latest that we have is that South Korea may have the ability to have a missile and put it and nuclear material and put those two things together. The U.S. military apparently shocked that this was a classified document and revealed today. And now others in the administration are trying to back down off it a little bit and say that they don't believe the North Koreans have tested or fully developed a nuclear warhead. So we're going to keep following the situation as headlines come in tonight, but still to come.